Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, the honorable judges. My name is Arsyila Razaq and I'm from Diponegoro University. Today, I'm standing here to discuss a crucial issues that impacts billions of people's lives around the world, which are poverty and social inequality. But before I get deeper into these issues, I want to ask you a question first. Do you guys know what is the meaning of poverty? That's okay, I'm going to explain it for you. So, poverty is a situation or a condition in which an individual or community lacks the financial means and other necessities for a basic level of living. So poverty is a difficult cycle to overcome since it can spread from generations to generations. There is a cause for something to happen, right? And so does poverty. It can't just happen like that without reasons. The root causes of poverty are numerous and interwoven, and I'm going to give you some of the examples, which are limited to no job growth, poor infrastructure, conflict and war, high living expenses, social barriers, and lack of government support. So, for those who are able to get out of poverty, advancement is generally transitory. Economic shocks, food insecurity, and then climate change can threaten their progress, which potentially forcing people back into poverty. So now, of course, the question is, how can we stop poverty? Well, in order to tackle poverty, we need a multifaceted approach that I like to call as BAI. But disclaimer, AI in this case is not artificial intelligence, which is computer systems that is really popular right now, but BAI is actually an abbreviation of approaches that we need to tackle poverty. So B stands for building wells that provide access to clean drinking water. And then E stands for educating farmers on how to produce more food. And then A stands for building accommodations for those in need at school to educate disadvantaged people. And last but not least, I stands for increasing better health services through the construction of medical practices and hospitals. And then now, if you think that our problem must be solved since we already have the solutions to tackle poverty, you are wrong. Why? Because poverty can create another problems that are equally important, and one of them is social inequality. So, if we talk about social inequality in Indonesia, it is actually quite tragic because it has been mentioned in the Pancasila, which is the foundation of Indonesia, in the point number 5 that says social justice for all Indonesian people. And it is actually a reminder for all of us that it is very important to overcome social inequality as an implementation of the 5th principle of Pancasila. So now, we have talking about social inequality, right? Social inequality this, social inequality that, but aren't you guys curious about what is the meaning of social inequality? Or at least, how can social inequality occurs? Well, let me tell you the secret about social inequality. The truth is, social inequality occurs when people's lives are out of balance, whether it's individually or as communities. There are a variety of causes that contribute to the socioeconomic inequality in Indonesia that I like to call as 30 So, I know that I like to abbreviate sentences and then create new words out of them, but trust me, it is so much easier to remember that way. Anyway, this 30 is actually an abbreviation for differences in natural resources, and then government policies, effects of globalization, demographic situation, and then geographical location and conditions. We're going to break it down one by one. So the first one is differences in natural resources. So the abundance of natural resources can have an impact on a region's economic level. Why? Because natural resources management improves the society's economic standing. Second, government policies. It is because the government decision can create disparities in societies. For example, the gap in the areas of immigrants, where immigrant communities developing faster than native population of the area, and it calls as the reincarnation programs. And third, we have effects of globalization. So this gap will arise if some people are unable to adapt to globalization, and this will fall behind and you don't get what others can get. Fourth, demographic situation. This is because the labor productivity of each member of society is not necessarily the same in different regions. Fifth is geographical location and conditions. Generally, it is more difficult for people in highland areas to build infrastructure than those in lowland areas. And that's why lowland communities are developing faster than highland communities. So we have been talking about the causes of social inequality, and now it's time for us to talk about the solutions for social inequality, right? So first, the government must prioritize education, information, and healthcare access in villages. And why villages? Because as we know that right now the most visible social divide is the comparison between urban and rural communities. And urban communities appear to be more progressive while rural communities struggle to develop. And second, the government should focus on promoting infrastructure development in villages, especially in villages that are disadvantaged. And so, in conclusion, poverty and social inequality are not impossible problems to overcome. It takes cooperation from various parties in society to realize solutions that can be used to tackle these problems. So, let's work together to eradicate poverty and social inequality for a better and more empowered Indonesia. Like Nelson Mandela said, overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. Thank you for your attention, and last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.